welcome to Tea Time Theology. My name is Taylor Wilkie.
And I'm Ivy.
Today, our guest is Jonathan Malone. He is a Baptist preacher. What's the name of your company?
Wilderness Journeys. You can find us at wildernessjourneys.org.
.org.
Oh, that's like a real website.
It's a real
None
website.
None of this nonsense.com stuff.
No, remember, listen, I remember when .org was like sus.
What? No,
Yeah.
I felt like .org meant you could like cite it in a research paper and no one would side-eye you.
Yeah,
Really? I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't go to Coolidge, so.
clearly.
And yet we're all in this room right now.
We are. And Taylor's the only one who knows how to work the tech.
Some people are born for tech. Some people are born for books. And I am born for tech.
And I am born for books.
Yeah, no, .org, because now they got like the .bitleys. Now they got the .bitly, and now they got the .me, and
Okay.
the .shop,
So
and the .biz.
let me
.gov.
give the spiel. So Wilderness Journeys is a company I run where it's an outdoor ministry where I lead backpacking trips, day hikes, retreats, speaking events, where we focus on experience of the wilderness with an emphasis on the spiritual or the divine. Check out trips offered this season at wildernessjourneys.org.
That's like really cool, actually.
That was a really great commercial.
I do
I'll
this-
snip that out and I'll send that to you so you can put it up on places.
You should.
Oh, okay, that'd be good. I thought you were gonna snip it out and just not leave it in. Just get rid of it.
No, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna put com in the end, and no one will get to your website.
Man. Hey, I want to say how great it is to be here at the historic St. David's on the Hill Church in the Joan Daly Music Room Recording Center.
Yes.
I've heard a lot about this place, about the recordings you've had. I know that we've been preceded by people like Jack Parr and Johnny Carson, and it just really means a lot to be on this side of the couch with two august interviewers like
Thank
yourselves.
Out of all the guests we've had, you're one of them.
That's all I can ask. That's all I can aspire
No, but Jonathan's
for.
actually, I don't know if you know this, Ivy, but Jonathan is like the third most popular person to ever be on Tea Time Theology.
Who do I have to beat?
You have to be Systematic Racism
I can't.
And Megyn Kelly.
and Megyn Kelly. One of
No,
those
We
is
had
easier.
Megyn Kelly on this
Yeah,
podcast?
yeah.
You can never beat Megyn Kelly. Her
I-
numbers are too strong.
Her numbers are way too strong.
Yeah, she has bots.
Yeah.
She pays the Indian people to listen on like 1,000 phones all at once.
Oh.
I just don't have that kind of money. I have monkeys try to listen, but they don't listen to the things I ask them to. They're listening to Shakespeare plays, so they know what to write.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Much more useful.
Monkeys. Well, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
So far.
So we are here today for a reason, and that reason is to talk about the graphic novel, Batman, Death in the Family. It's probably one of the more famous DC story arcs
I think so. Yeah.
because of the voting that took place.
Can I just say a little bit about the graphic novel as a genre of in pop culture?
Go for it.
I don't know if you've had anyone else talk about that yet. I mean, I've listened to all of the episodes
You are our
have. But I
first
think...
graphic novel, actually,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So, yeah, just to remind folks that the graphic novel is a legitimate form of literature. Pulitzer Prize-winning form of literature. I mean, look up Mouse, which is a brilliant graphic novel. And it really elevates the art form of comic book writing to that level. It tells stories in ways that novels or short stories or plays just cannot. But it also has just an incredible presence within popular culture and in the Marvel movies, which I think we're just about out of that season of Marvel movies just holding prominence. But that comes out of the presence of comic book writing and graphic novels telling great stories. So I want people to not look down on comic book writing and graphic novels as some kind of subpar cultural presence. This is high art.
Yes, read them at eye level. Do not put them on the table
Yes.
and look down at them.
Yeah, and keep them in the plastic sleeve as you read them.
Right. White gloves, guys. White gloves. Because you never know what's going to be worth a lot of money one day.
I will say, I think this was my favorite artwork, though, of the three that we read.
Oh.
Was The Death in a Family.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
It's. I mean, no. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a wrong response to that.
Yeah.
I mean, you like what you like, right?
Yeah.
And there is actually, the artwork in Death in the Family
It's
is.
really beautiful.
So Death in the Family came out in 1988.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the year I was born, Jonathan.
You were born in '88.
Yeah.
It was a good year.
It was,
Well, I won't say what year I was born.
I think I was a baby. She was born in the 90s.
I was.
Good for
and
you.
like tail end 90s.
So I remember when it came out. I didn't make the phone call to vote, but I did collect it. I picked it up in the comics. So, story by Jim Starlin. Who's the artist? Is it Jim Apro and Mike DiCarlo are the artists?
Yeah.
I think, when you talk about comics, you should always say, who is the writer? So, Jim Starlin was the writer, Jim Apro was the penciler, Mike DiCarlo was the inker, Adrian Roy the colorist, and John Constantine was the letterer. You should never forget the letterer.
I met Jim Starlin, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, at Boston Comic Con.
Oh, you were telling me that.
Back when Boston Comic Con was there's a building in Boston, believe it or not.
There's a lot of buildings in Boston. I'm just letting that go.
Next to the Jane Hancock building, and that's where Boston Comic Con used to be. I think it's called like the Back Bay Event Center or something.
Okay.
But it wasn't even like we were like you like walked into the building, and the Comic Con was like right there on the main floor. It was like 3 levels down into the basement.
This is when Comic Cons were real.
Like for real.
Yeah.
For real.
It wasn't what it is now.
Right.
It's just some
like
celebrity.
celebrities and just like...
That's why I don't go anymore.
You know, everyone like I remember when you used to go to Comic-Con, it was like, oh, okay, hey, I'm going to Comic-Con. And everyone say like, oh, you're such a loser. But now you say, oh, I'm going to Comic-Con this weekend. They were like, oh, what are you dressing up as? And I'm like, nothing, because I like my jeans and my T-shirts.
Do you pick your T-shirts strategically at least?
No.
No.
Sometimes I wear I'll wear my most obscure reference T-shirts.
I'll say you go as Peter Parker, jeans and T-shirts.
Yeah. There you go. Classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic. You carry a camera and you're really Peter Parker.
Oh yeah.
So so Jim Starlin, author. So 1988, we are getting in the 3 in this series of 3. I checked in with a friend of mine who is a comic book writer with Sun Brothers, which is a very underground comic book company. He confirmed that we are moving into what's known as the modern age of comics, where I don't know, there's Bronze Age, Silver Age, Golden. I don't know all those ages, but I know we're moving into the modern age. And these 3 comics, I think one of the themes that we'll see throughout all 3, to spoil the upcoming episodes, is that it gets really dark and gritty.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really.
Yeah, this was on the line. This was like right at that change.
Yeah. And so and the other 2 are also like just the violence is much more pronounced and there's a brutality to it. And I think comics have been moving out of that. But yeah, Death in the Family really crossed over that line in a very profound way.
Was it before or after Crisis on Infinite Earths? I think it was like right after. I watched a video. And that's when the thing started to change. Art and comics are always of the time they are made. Late 80s and into the 90s. And 90s comics got hyper violent, hyper mature contented.
Yeah.
Like it went from, because people who were writing comics at the time realized that kids are reading these books, but the people who are really spending the money on them grew up reading them. So we need to start writing books for them. And that's where these like really dark, gritty stories came out of.
And I like that you like the artwork of the 3 we're going to talk about in 3 episodes, that you like this artwork. Because, looking at it, like, it is like very like how to draw comics kind of style of artwork.
Yeah, it's like a classic. This is what I anticipated when Taylor emailed me. We were reading comics.
Yeah, very straightforward. My favorite part in this, and I guess we'll get to the story in just a second, but the way the Joker is drawn in this, I think, is brilliant and really captures. There's a cartoonishness to his face.
Yeah,
that really captures like just how disturbing he is. So I really appreciate that. This was the one that really spoke to you.
So speaking of the story, we're just going to recap it really quick for those who haven't read it, because we don't tell anybody what the episodes are going to be about before they release.
What we can do is we can stop right now and wait for someone to go read it.
Yeah.
We could give them like 20 minutes.
Yeah, readallcomics.com, guys. that's where you can read a lot of you can read all the comics. It really is. There's a deep catalog there.
Wow, that's great.
And it's all PDFs and just like scrolling through. It's not the best reading experience of a comic book, I think, but in a pinch.
Yeah, or go to your local library.
Yeah, local libraries.
That's where I got all of mine.
There we go.
I almost got fined for Watchmen. It was taking me too long to read it.
That's a big.
I borrowed all 3 at the same time, thinking I'll just blow through these really quick, and then I like hit the sandbox of Watchmen, and I'm like, oh my god.
Which we'll get there. Now we spoiled the next 2 episodes.
I know.
Well, one of them, but you don't know what the other one is. That'll be the mystery.
So in the story, Jason Todd is being a general pain in the butt.
He's being a teenager
To Batman. And Batman kind of gives him a slap on the wrist, says, hey, you can't do whatever you're doing. He's like, well, you know what? I'm going to go start my own Batman. And I'm going to have my own car.
I don't need you.
And he like takes off, and he's wandering through the streets of Gotham City, and he finds the old house where his father and him lived, and this old neighbor gives him a box of junk, and in the box of junk there's a book with 3 names of women that his father was friendly with.
Right.
And he decides that one of these women must be his mother. That's bold. It's a bold assumption to make, but
He was young,
yeah.
going through puberty.
Yeah, so he up and runs away. He uses the Bruce Wayne credit cards,
Yeah.
and he buys a ticket to the Middle East, where all these women happen to be. They're all somewhere in the Middle East.
I mean, that's where you go.
Yeah, that's the next stop from Gotham City. Like, where else can you go?
At least in the late 80s.
Yeah. One thing leads to another. Jason does find his mother. She betrays him to the Joker.
Allegedly find his mother.
Allegedly.
Finds his alleged mother. Jason finds
Somebody who agreed that she was his mother.
yes, but I'm skeptical.
She betrays him to the Joker. Then the Joker ends up beating Jason almost to death. And then Jason's last act is to save his mother's life. And he dies in an explosion. And Batman is real broke up about it.
And did you know the following year DC did another comic where they awarded Jason's alleged mother Mother of the Year?
No. Oh, okay.
That would have been hilarious.
He was very disliked, Jason Todd. He was a very disliked character.
Why?
Why was Jason Todd? You just said you didn't like Jason Todd, didn't you?
I didn't say I disliked Jason Todd. I disliked most of this. I liked the artwork, but I did not enjoy the process of reading A Death in the Family.
That's a good statement to make in general.
Yes.
I think in the pantheon of Robins, I think I would have disliked Jason Todd until Damian came around, and then I'm like, oh no, I like him less.
Yeah, Damon's kind of...
So in the pantheon of Robins, we have Dick Grayson.
Yep.
Who is the Robin of Robins.
Yep.
He's the original, the OG.
Dick Grayson, every other Robin has been adopted by Bruce Wayne and made his son, legally. Mm-hmm. Bruce Wayne never adopted Dick Grayson.
That was a saving grace.
Mm-hmm. His saving Grayson.
Yes.
So yeah, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd is next.
Yep.
He got the mantle because he was stealing the wheels off of the Batmobile.
Right.
Because he's a little hoodlum, and he thought hey, there's the Batmobile.
Batman said, "This kid's got moxie.
Yeah.
Stick with me. We'll teach you stuff."
Yeah. And then Tim Drake follows him.
Poor Tim Drake.
How did he get adopted?
I don't.
Tim Drake? I don't know much
remember
about
it.
Tim Drake.
He doesn't have a sad, tragic backstory.
He definitely does.
They all do. Yeah, you
They're
don't
all
become
traumatized.
Batman's sidekick unless you have some kind of trauma. Even the one in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Although she
Carrie
just kind of
Kane?
forces herself in.
Yeah, she figures out who Batman is, and she's like,
And she's like, "I'm good with a slingshot."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Good enough for me."
yeah.
Amazing.
God. I'm just thinking back on how good Dark Knight is.
Yeah,
Dark
we
Knight
could have done
Returns.
that one too, but I was 3 was enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then after Jason Todd was
Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne, who is supposed to be another allegedly Bruce Wayne's actual biological son.
Talia al Ghul.
Yeah, Bruce had some wild nights.
Good for him.
I know, right? He's supposed to be a playboy.
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
He's a billionaire playboy.
That's the mask he puts on. See, the thing about Batman is that Batman is the primary personality of the Bruce Wayne Batman dual identity. Bruce Wayne is the mask that Batman puts on to go out into the real world.
I want to note, let's just note the time of how long it took in a podcast about a comic book for someone to say the thing about. But yeah, I think very well said.
Bruce Wayne is incredibly mentally ill.
Yeah.
How dare you? Went through a lot. His parents were killed
Right in front of him, yeah.
in an
Yes.
alleyway after seeing Zorro.
Why maybe he shouldn't adopt other traumatized children? Because it feels like he's not great at helping them heal from their own
I
trauma.
don't know. Dick Grayson did well.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, he started his own team, started dating an alien chick.
Good for him.
I mean, that he didn't see species.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
you're,
It's probably because he never was adopted. That's why.
that's
why
it. That was a
he
say.
got
Yeah.
safe.
So yeah, there's there is like I said, a pantheon of Robins. All the Robins. We love all the Robins, but some Robins we love less than others.
Yes.
And Jason Todd was I don't think the writers knew what to do with him. The readers didn't like him, and so they're like, what are we gonna do with this Jason Todd mess?
He was born out of like necessity. They took Dick Grayson out of the Batman, gave him his own team, the Teen Titans.
Yes.
As a result, he was in Batman less because continuity matters. And you can't have Dick Grayson hanging around with Batman in the same week he's hanging around with the Teen Titans.
Sure.
Some of it is you get to a place like nothing makes sense, nothing matters.
Yeah.
That's from another podcast I listen to.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's like what's his name? He wrote a whole bunch of X-Men in the 90s.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
He like wrote the X-Men stories. But he said like all of a sudden a character who died showed up in a book one day, and someone like at a Comic-Con said, "Excuse me, sir, this character was dead and now they're back." And he's like, "How can you explain that?" And the guy said, "Well, he got better." like you do, you know?
Yeah. So Jason Todd was a problematic character for just the DC management, you know, because they were looking at their sales numbers, which comic book sales numbers have never been good. It's not really a money making industry, and never will be.
Yeah, I know. Don't tell that to Marvel Studios.
Right. So I think
No one's made money on any of those movies.
with your recap of the story, Taylor, you said, you know, you didn't share the very end of, you know, like, did he die or not? Like, part of what was controversial about this comic was they let the readers decide. They didn't know the story yet. They just said, we are thinking about killing Robin. What do you think? And they had a 900 number. Kids, there was a time when you could, you know, call 900 numbers for various forms of entertainment, like voting on comic books. I don't know what else you could do. But
Dial a joke.
Dial a joke. Yeah, and there would be a small fee on your credit card for that. So, you know, 900 numbers was a thing back in the day.
I believe that Ivy doesn't know what a 900 number is.
I was just explained what a 900 number
Yeah.
is.
You Google, when you get home tonight,
I'm going-
Ivy, Google what a 900 number is, and then text me
I
what you
am
find.
able to connect from both of your looks.
Various forms of entertainment. Dial a joke, voting on comic books, and other sort of things. To give that to the readers is really wild, and to spoil the story, they voted for Robin to die. And it was over. They won by I found 72 votes.
Yeah, it was real close.
Yeah,
It was almost like a presidential election.
with much higher stakes.
Yeah.
Because someone's life was on the line. A real, living, breathing person.
But do you guys think, since you've just explained how much everyone disliked Jason Todd, that if they had picked a different character, people might not have voted to kill them?
See, that I think is like one of the really interesting questions. Was there a desire just in the zeitgeist? And I think we'll get to this a little more of like saying we need to have something change. I think you're probably if they said we're going to kill Batman or Alfred, if they said we might kill Alfred, I think more people would say you cannot kill Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred's a beloved part of the Batman universe. Spoiler, they eventually did kill him, but much, much later. And that's something I have issues with. But I also wonder, like, what about all the people who voted saying, like, don't kill Robin? Like, is there something about, like, is that a line that they're saying comics don't cross that line? Like, that might be going too far. Even if we don't like him, take that death. That's why this is considered one of those, like, markers of saying comics moving into a mature stage. Because they did it. They crossed the line. Which is amazing, and 72 readers. Now there's a story that like one lawyer just kept calling again and again to vote, but that's apocryphal. We don't know.
Yeah, you can't prove it.
Yeah, but I mean, if I had a lot of money, I'd just keep calling again and again.
Yeah.
That's how democracy works.
Yeah,
Vote early, vote often.
I don't know. I don't think comic book nerds in general have changed all that much. So I would say that if there's an opportunity to kill a character and you leave it up to them, they're gonna say yes, just for the meme.
I don't know. So and I think this will bring us like into the next. I do think it does speak to a maturing, like you said earlier, like as in the 90s when it got grittier, they said, "Oh, our readers are getting older. We can start speaking to them." I wonder if this was written in the 60s or the 50s. I mean, when Batman first came out, it was dark. And then, like, the whole comic code Authority came out, and like that kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And there was this sense of like, they only their standards. Like Superman will only go so far. Batman will only go so far. Like Batman will never take a life, and and comics will always portray something that was good, has value. There's like a bat dog and a bat kid, and like all these things are like, oh, Batman's like this fun, carefree, just like the TV show.
Yeah. Batman 66.
Yes, Batman.
Not the animated series.
No, the one with what's his face? I can't remember the guy.
Adam West.
Adam West. Thank you.
And Burt Ward.
Burt Ward, who played Robin.
Yeah.
So, very wholesome. I wonder, I don't know for sure, but I wonder if it was the vote, like we had the right Robin at the right time, but still 72 votes. Like so close. So I also wonder, there's this theory that I want to think about, if we can, called scapegoat theory, that's really been articulated well by this scholar named Rene Girard.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought this up because I don't know anything about this person or this theory. So
well, he's sitting right behind you.
Oh my God. How embarrassing.
I feel like he's going to explain it and you're going to be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So basically, Rene Girard, he's now deceased, French scholar, literary critic, and kind of philosopher folk. Basically, he has a couple of things that he said. First, he talks about this idea called mimetic theory, which is like our desire to want things comes out of copying other people's desires to want things. So, for example, all three of us have drinks here. I have tea. Taylor has Diet Coke. Ivy has Diet Coke. But your Diet Coke's in a different cup, and you just took a drink from it. And I saw it, I'm like, geez, that does look good. I didn't think it was good, but then I saw you liked it. Now I think I want it. So I'm going to have to kill you to take it. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's where some violence comes out of, right? And you especially see this with children. A kid might not have any interest in a toy until another kid starts playing with it, and then they're like, oh, I want that toy now. So yeah, Girard kind of talks about that. But so he says, so then what happens is you have this cycle of violence that starts happening more and more. People want something, someone else wants it, they get angry, this aggression, and it builds and builds and builds. And it builds to a place where it needs to go somewhere. But there's this, we don't really want to kill each other. So you find one person to be the focus of your rage and anger. And that's the scapegoat. Usually that person doesn't deserve it, is what Girard says. But is first marginalized, is saying you're no longer part of us, you're an outsider, is dehumanized, and then is killed. And then afterwards, everyone elevates that person, saying like they didn't deserve it, and now they're a martyr. And that kind of quells the violence until it builds up again. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So think about make it really on the nose obvious. Everyone in society is getting angry at each other. A goat walks through the town, and everyone's like, it's that goat's fault.
Yeah.
That goat's not part of us. That goat was never here before. We should kill the goat. And then they kill the goat. And then they're like, oh, that poor goat. It never did anything to us. But now we feel a little bit easier. Let's make a statue for the goat. So that's what Girard says with scapegoat theory. So that's what I think, or what I wonder about is, this desire to kill Jason Todd Robin, already make him another. He's never going to be who Dick Grayson was. I think that was part of the complaint. He doesn't have the same kind of discipline. He's kind of obnoxious. Dick Grayson Robin was always there with Batman. Was always like solving the problems with him, and then became Nightwing, which is like really cool. Like why can't?
Oh, Nightwing is so cool.
Nightwing's a great costume, great name. Sometimes bad hair.
Yeah.
So. But still, 2 out of 3 is really good.
I literally have Nightwing in my bag right now
Oh.
because I was like, I hated all of these, and Taylor was like, Nightwing might be more your speed.
I hate all of these. Well, I'm really looking forward to recording the other 2 with you, Ivy.
This was no, but this one's okay.
No, it's all right. No,
okay.
Don't backpedal. Stick to your guns.
It's true. I think I just didn't. I don't know. Maybe I had the wrong vision of what this process would be reading the comic books.
We need to have someone to say, I don't know if this is good.
I think the difference between Dick Grayson and Jason Todd is that Dick Grayson had a similar origin story to Bruce Wayne Batman.
Right.
Dick Grayson also watched his parents die in an act of crime.
Yeah.
And that kind of brought them together like that.
Yeah.
Jason Todd was just a bad kid from a bad part of town being a bad kid.
Right. Right. Orphan.
Yeah.
So he had that with Bruce.
Right, but it wasn't. Was Jason Todd's father killed before or after he met Batman?
I don't remember.
Because maybe I'm
It's
thinking
somewhere in there.
Maybe I'm thinking about Tim Drake and his father's alive while he's palling around with Bruce Wayne.
No, I'm pretty sure Jason Todd's father is dead.
Okay.
Otherwise, the story would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's this desire, like, so not only dislike of Robin, like making him other, and then saying he needs to die. So that was kind of fomenting, and we think like what's also going on in the culture at the time. Because one of the great things about comics, like you said, is that they're written in the time, they're for the time that they are. So we're in the midst of the Cold War. It's starting to die down a little bit, but it's still there. So there's a lot of anxiety there, a lot of anxiety with the Middle East, and we're going to talk about this, Islamophobia that's kind of rampant in this comic.
Oh yeah.
But that's all going on in the artistic community. The AIDS crisis is still really high, and I think there is overlap between. I mean, it's not as strong, but there still are overlap. The arts community and the comic book reading community. Comic books also were just not popular. I mean, they really were nerds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who were reading comics. So that also might be just a sense of malaise in the culture at the time, and wanting to take it out on someone else. I might be overreading, reading too much into it, but I think that correlation is still there enough to say we should take note of that.
Yeah.
And afterwards, Jason Todd is lifted up in a weird kind of way. But yeah, that's what I was thinking, that this gives us that really powerful example of, the community othering someone and killing that person to bring a sense of peace for themselves.
So Jason Todd does eventually return, and Ivy was so mad when she found out about the storyline.
Tell me about that, because I'm also not really happy with it.
No, not that. I texted Taylor and was like, "This is the end," and he's like, "Actually, he like gets thrown in this pit called the Lazarus Pit and like comes back to life." And I was like, "Why didn't we read that one? That sounds so much more interesting."
It's not as strong of a story.
Yeah, there's
Really?
there's a Batman annual that kind of like retcons the entirety of what happened here, where Bruce Wayne they swap the bodies for like a very perfect fake of Jason Todd and Bruce Wayne. Batman, the greatest detective in the world, did not notice that the body was switched and
because
it wasn't Jason Todd.
He was wrecked with grief.
He was wrecked with grief.
That's what he says.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this story just felt unfinished to me. Like I genuinely finished it and was like, there has to be more. And
Tell me more about that. Why is it that you wanted it to continue?
I don't know if I wanted it continued. I think that what was interesting to me about Batman is like his relationship with this character, because he's like not great to him. And I think also what's really important, my context for this is like Batman's not like one of my characters that I like have watched any of his movies or any of that kind of stuff. So like this is like genuinely one of my first times interacting with either of these characters. So reading it from that way, I was like, Batman's not particularly nice to Robin, because I didn't see like all the shenanigans ahead of time. So I was like, he's not particularly nice to this kid. He like seems to only care now that he's dead.
Right.
And then I felt like it was more about like Batman's like grief and guilt about it. And so when it ended, and then like Superman came in to save the day, and I was like, oh, I don't know if
he didn't come in to save the day. He came in to stop his friend from
saving the day.
From getting into a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Because he knew.
Yeah.
But then he like still went and did the right thing in the end, and like was in the UN scene.
Right.
And like was like, you really thought I'd let him get away with this? And Batman's like, I don't know anything anymore. So I just felt like there wasn't. Not that there wasn't closure, because I know like you don't always get closure, but there wasn't like a moment where I'm like, okay, like what were we supposed to get out of this? It just felt like an unfinished ending.
Right. The Red Hood story it's a really good story on its own, but I wish it wasn't with Jason Todd. I think it should be to the readers like, you killed him, that's it. When no one can die, the story doesn't have the same depth. Like, so like you voted for him to be dead, so he's gone, and Batman's gonna live with that. The comics immediately after this Batman's not okay. And there's a couple of issues after I remember reading it more, like he just was not himself for a long time. And someone finally, I think Dick Grayson finally came and said, you need a new partner. It's not going to be me, but you can't do this on your own. You need a partner. I do think it's interesting that Batman still, in the end with the Joker, so Joker becomes the ambassador for Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Batman's like, this is not okay. And he's like, please, diplomatic immunity. And if Batman still wants to, take him out, but won't, like he does do the right thing. I wonder if that's because the writer's like, look, we already killed Jason Todd. We can't do more. Which gets back to that scapegoat theory. Like we did everything horrible to the Robin character. Batman needs to hold on to a moral compass. If Batman did start to spiral into a place of like, now what's the point, and started carrying a gun, which was like, that's always one of his lines. I will never use a gun. Yeah. Right? If he did do that, then we would say, like, oh my gosh, we've lost everything. Right? And so I feel like they're still like, well, we will draw a line. But I wish that they said he's dead, that's it, we're done. But they didn't. They couldn't. Comic book writers, they can't
help themselves.
They can't help themselves. And that's my biggest critique, not of this story, but of the Red Hood story. Because once he's dead, he should be dead.
Yeah.
Or bring back Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got nervous. I was like, is Alfred dead? No, he's not.
He is in the current comics.
No.
Sorry. Whoops.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's huge. That's like a huge part of Batman's identity.
It is. That's literally the only thing I know about Batman. Is
Right.
Alfred.
And Alfred is his moral compass in many ways. He's the one that keeps him centered, that keeps him human. He's the one that speaks to the Bruce Wayne of Batman in many ways. So to do that. But Robin, especially the Jason Todd Robin, wasn't that same kind of moral compass for Batman that was. But once Robin was gone, people was like, you can't have a solo Batman. You need to have someone. Now there are runs of Batman where he is on his own, and people love that. But there's still this like desire to have that brightly clad figure who is the sidekick to the Dark Knight. But that's where I wish they flinched. They said we're gonna do it, and then they flinched. But that's not till later. So can we talk a little bit about the Islamophobia that's kind of a part of the 1980s that's in this?
Go for it.
So Joker meets the Ayatollah, Ayatollah Khomeini, and becomes an ambassador. And part of the problem with that is immediately the readers are said, oh, he's with Iran, so therefore they're evil too. He's with the evil empire. Like that whole, it's not even thinly veiled.
Right.
It's like so overt.
Yeah.
And hopefully we would read it with, eyes of 2025, especially while we're bombing Iran, to say like, this doesn't feel okay.
It's almost like the president read this and he's just like, what? The Joker is the... we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's not real. And he says, no.
I read it. It's got to be true. Yeah, I think that's a problem, and I think if we go back and look at it, I think it's important just to be aware of that, aware of like how it's not subtle Islamophobia. It's just like
it's listen, I'm not saying that state-sponsored media is a thing right now in our country, but I remember growing up in the post 9/11 world, because that's really the first major tragedy that I lived through as a millennial. I remember the Islamophobia that was rampant through that time, and I can see it's gone from zero and it's ticked up. Just like someone's just turned that knob up a little bit since the war started, and I can see it going further the longer we're involved, and it's concerning to me because I don't know. I guess I just didn't like America in that time.
We weren't our best selves.
No, but I do think it's interesting that it's like this one feels very, with you've said comics being written in the time that they're in, but this one feels like it also could have been like written.
It could have
this
been.
past year,
right?
Which is a very interesting sort of thing that like the themes really came up and through.
Yeah, I don't feel great about that. Yeah, I mean, but that makes me wonder if there was I don't know who Robin is now. If there is a Robin with Batman, there might be. Oh no, it's Damien. Still Damien.
It's gonna be Damien forever
Why is it going to be Damien forever?
because he's
He's a
Bruce
whiny-
Wayne's kid, and
He's a whiny little brat.
Batman 666. They did a far future where Damien is Batman.
I mean, that's his birthright.
Yeah.
Blah. But I wonder. So actually, yeah, if there was another one where like call in this number and vote if you want to have Robin killed or not, if there would be the same kind of results.
Yeah.
Especially with Damien.
It sounds like no one likes Damien, so.
They tell me he's maturing. He's growing. He's
Okay.
very entitled. He's a very entitled character, and that's part of his persona. He's like, I am the son of Batman. I deserve. Blah, blah,
Well, he's
blah."
like son of the Batman, heir to the demon. Like
Yeah.
he is like the heir apparent to the.
Oh yeah,
It's the
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghuls. They are not the Foot Clan.
I know.
That's
I was thinking of-
That's the first thing I thought
That's the
of.
Turtles, and I was thinking of the Hand, which is
Oh,
Daredevil.
Black Hand. Yep, that's another group of assassins. Jeez, I'm such a bad nerd. It doesn't matter.
You are the
We
word.
look forward to your letters.
Send in your. Well, this is how we find out who's listening.
Right.
Send in your angry emails.
Yeah. Right on the Facebook page. Comment, and Ivy will read them, and she won't tell me.
That's
There's a Facebook
all
page.
there. Yeah.
I've heard.
There is.
How and what is it under?
Tea Time Theology.
Okay. So, folks, go to Tea Time Theology on Facebook. Like it, follow it. Do we have a YouTube channel yet?
We do not. I'm working on it.
Okay. I dressed up for nothing?
Yeah. Full collar and everything.
Yeah. Full collar with a tux.
Yeah.
Which is hard to find the right kind of tux shirt that fits a clergy collar.
Right.
But
It's fair.
I made it work.
Little crucifix cufflinks.
It's nice. And you all notice the boutonniere matches the collar.
Yeah.
No, I was just sad you didn't come in a Batman costume because of what we were talking about today.
Missed opportunity.
It's all right. Next time.
So I know this is a Christian podcast, right? At least by name.
Yeah. I was just thinking, is the phone number where you call and you decide whether or not Jason Todd lives or dies an allegory to the moment in the Bible where the mob is outside of the prison and they're like, who should we release? And they were like, give us Barabbas, Barabbas.
Yeah. So so bringing back Rene Girard because he needs a little more time with us.
Okay.
He would argue that with Jesus we see the ultimate moment of scapegoat, and so he would say yes every time. We as a society, as a people, would say crucify him.
Yeah. Well, I also think that people don't want to believe that bad things can just happen. So if you can blame someone
Right.
or something that's not you
Right.
for it, I think that makes sense. I think it's interesting that they voted without knowing the story around it, because something that we haven't talked about yet that I don't know if I fully understood or followed why it was important was this like 3-mother sort of arc that he's coming into, where there's like, it felt very Mamma Mia to me, of like there's 3 possible moms, let's go find out.
They are
what's
working on a
going
musical version of this.
Are they actually?
No, God no.
There was a Spider-Man musical. You never know.
I know, and that did well.
Yeah,
People
famously.
died.
No one died.
Ivy's is a Spider-Man apologist. Musical
Isn't it
apologist.
Spider-Man Into the Dark or Capture the Dark? Or
Spider-Man Into the Dark,
Into
and
the
someone
Dark.
did get hurt, but he was okay. It's because a technical thing didn't happen correctly. It was a cursed production, anyways.
It's Bono's fault.
Probably.
He should be the scapegoat.
Bono. Yeah, I mean, he should be. But no, I do think there's something interesting about these like 3 mothers and why
Yeah.
there had to be 3. I was like,
That's a great question. 3.
The rule of 3. There is
usually-
the rule of
yes.
3. It's 3 things happen.
It also draws a story out, which they need.
yeah.
They needed to. Which one of my biggest criticisms of this book was that in the second issue they recapped the whole first issue. I'm like, why are you wasting my time with this writing?
Or why did you publish it inside of the trade paperback?
Right.
Like that's the thing. Like you have the ability in a trade paperback just to say, "Oh, we don't need these like first 5 panels."
Yeah.
But there they are.
Yeah. It's like the previously on.
Yeah.
Previously on. So I think that's part. But isn't it? But the 3 still like which did you do a biblical allegory with that?
Not with the 3 moms, because I couldn't
Okay.
think of a biblical one besides like the 3 days rising.
Yeah, 3 days.
But I couldn't like actually think of 3 easily in the Bible.
Well, you could have Mary, mother of Jesus. You also have Mary Magdalene, and you have Salome, who's at the cross. You have 3 women at the cross when Jesus is crucified.
See?
They could be his 3 mothers.
This is why you're the clergy person, and I'm just here.
That's the only reason why. That was all I know about the Bible. You just got the extent of my biblical knowledge right there. Ask me something else, and I'll just kind of blabber and drool.
Okay.
So Girard would say that, if it was Jesus, we would say yes every time. He should be killed. But he said what Jesus does that is significant is in his resurrection, he stops that whole cycle of violence. Like we don't need a scapegoat anymore. And Jesus takes it all on and dies and then comes back and we're good. I think Girard is weak with resurrection theology, but I like his view of crucifixion theology. I think that's I like that articulation of it. Which says something about us as a species, that we still have this desire to take out our frustrations. I mean, we had a major snowstorm recently, a couple weeks ago.
Blizzard of 26.
Blizzard of 26, Snowmageddon.
Blizzard 26. All the boomers need to be quiet now.
Yeah.
Because we got more snow and we were fine.
And we were fine. But I was looking for someone to blame for all that snow.
Yeah.
I was running around my house screaming and yelling, saying, someone's at fault. Because I need it now. I didn't find anyone, so I was just steeping in anger and frustration for at least a day and a half.
Waiting for the plow to come by.
Waiting for the plow to let me out so that I can then go running on the street saying, is it your fault? Is it your fault? But there was that desire to still blame someone. I mean, and I think that's just a part of who we are. Hopefully we would get past that. And to say sometimes bad things just happen. God doesn't punish that way. That's one of the takeaways I would say, is that God doesn't punish us with bad things. God doesn't cause a snowstorm to happen. God certainly did not give you cancer. God didn't make your kid die. Just bad things happen, and we have to sit with that. That's not as germane to the comic book we're talking about today, but I think that's always just a good lesson to...
But I do think it is. I think that especially talking about the second half of it, once Jason is dead, is that Batman really blames himself in a lot of ways.
Good. Yeah.
And I also think what is interesting is
Well, he made that choice.
Yeah.
What, Batman did?
Yeah, Batman made the choice. He made the choice to go after the Joker and not
save Jason.
Or not follow Jason to the place where his mother was in danger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is wild to me about this story is and I know Batman's whole point is that he's not a hero, but kind of is. But having that dynamic between the two of them, again, as this is the first time I was introduced to their dynamic of being this is so toxic, the two of you together. That was just my feeling. I don't know if other people were no, it wasn't toxic. This is a really healthy way
I don't
to
think
express your
anyone
feelings.
else has ever looked at the relationship between Batman and Robin and said this is toxic. I think everyone else saw him totally normal.
Well, that's not
They're best
not true.
friends.
During the Comics Code,
It's very toxic.
during the Comics Code era, they had to they got called out for being a homosexual couple.
When?
By the government.
He's a child. What?
Yeah, but Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, they were called out as being, hey, you got to butch up these two characters and
I think they used the phrase "butch up"
Yeah.
as well, because nothing. I mean, that's so it's always been a little bit weird. But then again, people have also loved that relationship between the two, calling them the dynamic duo and all that kind of thing. It's these. So yeah, for Batman to lose him is a big deal. For Batman to sacrifice Robin, so in that sense, making that choice to say, I will sacrifice. A little more Christ imagery there. Or Abraham, who had to call to sacrifice his son. I guess I know a little more Bible. So I think, if we were telling this story of, Batman is God and Robin is Jesus, then obviously the analogy wouldn't last too long. But Robin would come back, not as the Red Hood. It would be a better story. The emotional part of me was taken in when Batman said, I am not going to kill the Joker. Because a part of me, as much as, this book, I was I don't know, once you kill Robin, keep him dead, all that stuff. I still want Batman to have that moral goodness in him. And so when he's facing the person that he knows killed, Robin, and Batman's holding on to this guilt about it, And in the end, he's like, I will not. I was like, oh, good. We haven't lost everything. And that was kind of like, and I think that's also like, I want there to be some kind of happiness in the ending. And I think the Superman, Superman shows up, but Joker has some, we're spoiling this. Do we tell people that?
Yeah,
we're gonna
we
spoil
spoil
this?
everything.
Okay, good. Superman inhales all the gas and saves the day that way. Like, that's kind of like an easy out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, fine. The conversation between Superman and Batman, I think, is fantastic. And Batman's like, he must pay, something must be done. And Superman's like, you can't.
You can't. He's, diplomatic immunity, buddy. You can't do anything about it.
And how'd you like it when Batman punched Superman in the face?
That's one of my favorite panels.
Because Superman's getting punched in the face.
No, just because of the
because Batman breaks his hand.
He doesn't. He doesn't. He bruises it.
Yeah, but it comes close.
It comes close. But that's like one of the cool things about just like punching Superman. Like, you can punch Superman, but it's like punching a brick wall. Like, you will break your hand.
And Superman rolled with the punch a bit to save Batman's hand.
Yeah, he could have shattered his whole forearm.
Oh.
Which is just an aside. There's one of the best comic panels is when Batman punches out Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. It's just Guy Gardner's being obnoxious, and it's just one punch. Batman gets him in the face, and he's out cold. Yeah. It's like 3 panels, I think, and you're like, oh, that's great. You just watch it again. You read it again and again and again. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Guy Gardner is the Green Lantern from the new Superman movie.
I did know that one.
Great. Just want to make sure you know.
Of the Green Lanterns, he is the most obnoxious one.
He's
gathered.
Like when you call the Green Lanterns, they said Guy Gardner. You're like, oh.
Is Hal Jordan busy?
Like, was he? Like, he's the Green Lantern you get, not the Green Lantern you wanted.
Can I get the squirrel? Can you send the squirrel?
Oh, I love that squirrel.
Or the planet, even?
The planet. Anyway, so final thoughts.
These are deep cuts. I think, of the 3 comics we're talking about, I think this is the weakest as a comic goes with writing. I think the artwork's good. It's not as bold. Like, the choices being made aren't as bold as the artwork in the other 2 we're going to talk about. But I think the story, the importance of the story in there is really profound. And I think it's that we say, like, you could read it today and say, like, oh, this still kind of holds. I think does still speak to and for us, if nothing else, to walk away to saying, what would we vote? Would we want Robin to be killed? Is there something in us that says, I need to get out this aggression or this anger or this sense of myself that life doesn't feel okay, and I need to put it on someone or something. Which then, I think to say, like, so what do we do with that? Like, that's why we, that if we have this image of God as some kind of capricious creature that's punishing us and causing us suffering, then we're going to be feeling like I've got to punish someone else. But if we have an image of God as the one who holds us in our suffering. It's like that picture of Batman holding Robin when he finds Robin's body, which is just beautiful.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And that's the image of God that I hold on to. That in our own brokenness, when we're hurt, when we're falling, God picks us up and cradles us and weeps over us and stays with us. That's if we were to walk away from reading this comic with some kind of Christian hope. Is that even in the time when we feel like everything's lost and everything's gone and hope is all gone, God still is there with us, and God finds us and doesn't abandon us. That's the takeaway I'm having.
How about you, Ivy?
That was much better than what I was going to say, so I'm going to let that be the last one.
Okay. I don't know. I always think that whenever I think of a good Batman story, this is one of them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as good as I remember it the first time when I read it, but it's still a great story.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jonathan, if someone wanted to come meet you in the woods, where should they go?
Well, they should go to wildernessjourneys.org. Trips for the 2026 season are up and ready. You can sign up for a trip or reach out to me and set something up. But if you also want to meet me in person without going in the woods, come to St. Luke's Episcopal Church in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. Worship services are at 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. unless we're having one of those special Sundays where we say, we just can't do 2 today. We're just going to do 1. But that's very rare and far and few between. But yeah, come check us out. We have a brand new rector. He still has that nice new rector smell.
He does.
So that's always fun, and it's going to go away soon. So, the Reverend John Fountain, he's great. And we're there ready to welcome you in. All are welcome.
And you could also meet me.
Yes, which is
Because I'm usually there on a Sunday also.
yeah, hanging out in the narthex area, whatever area. What do they call it?
We call it it's the atrium.
Atrium.
It's the
That's it.
atrium,
Yes.
and I hang out in the Choir Widows Club.
Yeah. People that lost their partners to choir.
Yeah, we all get to church early to sit quietly and drink coffee with the 8 a.m.ers. Thanks, guys.
I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there no more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. I'm going there to see my Savior, to sing His praise forevermore. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home.
Thank you for listening to Tea Time Theology, a ministry of St. John's Cathedral in Rhode Island. We would like to thank our producers, Ivy Swinsky and Taylor Wilkie. Special thanks to Mario Akande and David Hines for this season's music. Additionally, we would like to thank our sponsor, the Episcopal Diocese of Rhode Island, and the Right Reverend Nicholas Knisley, as well as our guests today. Follow us at Tea Time Theology on all social medias.